All right, so we got like 4 people in here. That's pretty solid, I think. All right. Just gonna wait a couple more minutes and then I'll get to a few questions. I might ad lib a few things as I see things, but I'll probably get off on a tangent once I start one of these. That's typically how it goes. All right. All right, cool. Let's start off with let's see. There was a question. Man, I just had the page up. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right. So we had a question from Flips. Hey, West End Zone on that dagger route. Both the safeties screwed up, right? Cam should have been in better position to contest the catch, and then James shouldn't have been smacked down in the middle of the field behind Cam. Should have been on the opposite hash. Make a touchdown saving tackle. I'm gonna share this right here. Okay, so um, I'll use you know preliminarily I'll use sort of your screenshots, and to properly answer the question, I'm gonna have to watch the actual film. But I mean, typically, if they're if they are in fact playing quarters coverage, which I think they are, um, it. I would think of quarters coverage not so much as like a zone. I would think of it more as like a pattern match man coverage. It's basically like a set of rules to deal with receiver releases, which end up becoming man coverage. And um, it's not really like a spot drop type of zone. It's not like a Tampa two, which has more spot drop vibe to it. This is more of like man coverage, and yes, there are certain pattern releases which a deep safety would eventually like zone off and play like a traditional quarter like we're looking at here. Looks like James may have had that sort of release which allowed him to play in that quarter. I just don't know. um and then getting back to like this side of the field, this is where we had the dagger route where number two, um, you know, number two started off here, went like that, and then number one came in like that, which it seems like Coach Guidry had a specific game plan for this specific route. The issue with dagger routes is if they don't have the proper spacing, it doesn't work. So like so if they execute the dagger route with with the receiver going down here and then there's number one coming all the way from the sideline coming in here, it's just not gonna work. So the way that teams get around it is they change the splits. Like they've got a guy right here, you know, they've got two guys close to each other, or you have a good enough route runner where he can kind of like, you know, cut the distance. And so I think what happened here is we tried dealing it off, like oh, we tried to sort of like play the dagger route to each other instead of just locking up in man coverage, um, which quarters would give you. It looks like what they did is they saw the close splits and sort of played a game with each other, and it ended up backfiring. You know, I'm not sure exactly. Let's. I'm gonna try and pull up the film now. Um, I took a note for where this was. So 1720. Okay. Okay. So I've got it here. Good. All right. Looking at the formation. You know, I'll just kind of like draw up some basic stuff. Like people that don't have a background like in football, just like the average fan. Whenever you're looking at a formation, um, you want to just draw like a line down the ball, and right now we're on I guess the the left hash, and you always want a number from outside in. So this is your number one receiver. This is your number two receiver, like a tight end. This is your number three. This is your number two, and then there's a one down here somewhere. And so, like a big part of playing defense, playing understanding the nexus of run fits with pass coverage is you have to understand formations and alignment and splits and things like that. So we have two receivers to the boundary, got a tight end and 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 like a flanker. This guy is pretty tight to the line of scrimmage. Sorry, he's pretty tight to the box, which it's almost like he's like a wing, which might lead to these guys are still playing quarters, but they're probably gonna play like a little bit of a game here, to kind of deal these guys off. So just basic quarters concepts, right? Um, everybody everybody um on like uh on this side of the ball. This corner, this safety, um, and then this away side linebacker, which I think is this guy right here. Everyone, what they do is dictated by number two. Okay, and a lot of pass coverage, pass like zone concepts, or just pass coverage in general, it's dictated on your vertical threats. Like, how is the coverage going to handle vertical threats? That's like that's the quickest way to lose, right? Or the quickest way to get scored on is a vertical route. So you always got to figure out how you're going to handle vertical routes. So as soon as we figure out what number two is going to do, it kind of dictates the rest of the play. So if number two goes vertical, somewhere between 6 to 8 yards, different teams have different rules, but let's just call it, 7 yards, whatever it is. As soon as that guy declares a vertical route, wherever he goes from this point, left, right, keeps going, does like a corner, does a post, does a curl, whatever it is, a dig. Um, this deep safety is going to be in man coverage with that guy, right? So man coverage, once you get a declaration of 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 man coverage, okay. So as soon as number two does something and declares that he's not gonna be going vertical, then that allows this safety to he's like playing zone coverage is like checking boxes, right? Did number two go vertical? No. So then what do you do after that? And so he has a list of rules, and those that list of rules are tied to techniques, like tied to footwork, um, get tied to like eye discipline. So this deep safety would be basically sitting in like a flat foot technique, basically like either buzzing his feet or hopping or maybe like a slow back pedal, trying to get a, a read on this number two. So once this guy declares that he's not going vertical, then at that point his eyes go to number one, and he's trying to think how I can help on number one. Um, if number two, if number two were to go out, okay, that's and I don't want to get too far into the details of of quarters, but as soon as this guy gives you an out release, it's a more clear read for this boundary side safety because 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 he knows. I mean, if he knows his coverage well, he knows his corner. Also, reading number two, by the way, is playing a shuffle technique. As soon as he gets his outside release, this away side corner knows that he has to work to the flat because this guy's gonna probably end up coming to him. It's when you get a short outside release against quarters, it's a very simple read. It's easy. Now it gets a little bit more, gets uh, a little bit more challenging when it's an inside release. When you see this guy, hold on a second. When you see this guy do something like this, it's not so much of a clear read on number one. Usually, if somebody goes out, someone's coming back in. Someone's gonna come back in with them. Okay, really, the route tree, for this number one receiver, it could be anything. I mean, really, it could be anything. So, different teams teach different techniques for this deep safety, the deep quarter safety on an inside release. Some of them ask them to keep an eye on the opposite side of the field. Some of them just want them to help on number one. And so I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know what our rules are, but I'm just trying to give like basic quarters concepts. So um let's clear the whiteboard. I'm gonna go forward a little bit. All right. So what do we get? We got an outside release by the tight end, and then we got a vertical by number one. What did we just say? The clearest read in quarters is a quick outside release by number two. That's what we got. All right, straight outside. That means there's no on that side of the field. There's no threat of double vertical. So then that inside quarter safety can say, hey, look, I don't have a vertical threat. I'm gonna help out number one. And so this linebacker's playing like a slice curl, where he's gonna help on the curl and then tackle the flat late. And then this guy's going deep, gets taken by the safety. Okay. Gets taken by the corner, excuse me. Gets taken by the corner. Now it's important to understand what the safety's thinking at this point, because the safety knows he has an outside release. He's gonna assume that number one's gonna probably come back to him. Okay, he could, it could be like a flood concept where kind of going like that. But he understands he has help from the corner, so it's almost like the corner and the safety sandwich is number one receiver, the corner to the outside and the safety to the inside. All right, let's clear this, and then now, okay, what did we see? we saw a a delayed wheel. I want to see if I can go back. Um, okay. All right. I mean that that kind of like um kind of proves what we just said, right? So um if we have this guy going out and then up, and this guy going vertical, he's probably going to be coming back down the middle. I mean, really, if you're thinking about what the assignment was here, I don't know for sure. I'm gonna guess that the corner ended up switching to this guy, and then the safety took this guy down the middle, and I can't say for sure, but that's my assumption. And so the way that their coverage rules on that side of the field affect what the other side does or may not affect. It looks like they have clear reads, they have clear assignments, and again, quarters is not a zone coverage necessarily. It's more of a way of dealing off pattern releases, which end up being man coverage. Um, and and again, I have to like reemphasize like the amount of time this guy had. All right, let's see. I think there's another angle here. Um, okay. All right. Perfect. So let's watch it one time through. Okay. All right. All right. So look. So what we got then here, if I can go back a second. Now looking at the route from. Okay. So looking at the route from here, this is what we got. We got this from this guy, and then this guy just kind of like settled down here. Okay. Um. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think I see your point. Okay. So uh, essentially what happens is this deep safety gets the outside release. Okay. His eyes go to one. He sees number one settle down on the curl. That curl should be played. Should be played by the linebacker. And then with him pressing it on top. I mean that's kind of like it's. I don't think James is wrong. Um, if he settles down and plays right here, I think James got lost and just kind of kept floating. I think he has to press his curl and sandwich it with the linebacker, and then this corner should be taking the wheel. Um, let me see it. And that's not how they played it. That's not how they played it at all. Okay, well, let's see. Let's see. The 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 rest of this. Oh, I see. Okay, all right. I see what they did. Okay, so sometimes in quarters, some teams they 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 play it so that, and I think I actually have like a coaching clinic brochure on this I could probably show. But sometimes what they do is they play what's called a me technique, right? So there's mirrored positions. This is like this is a nickel, this is a linebacker, and what they do is they play what's called a me technique, where they are taking um, the outside release. They're covering the flat. Okay, they're telling the corner me. Hey, I'm gonna take the flat, and then the swing deep in number two. So that means is uh, two goes to the flat. He's gonna cover it, and he's also gonna cover the swing deep, which is this. Which is what happened here. That's another way to play quarters. which it looks like we did that, and we were able to do that um, because who the guy was covering was a tight end. It wasn't like a slot receiver, and I think we were able to do that. And if you're smart about that, you're able to get better matchups that way. Which it's a smart way of playing it. Either way, either way, I don't think it's wrong necessarily what James did. I just think I think he got lost. Now going back to the read side, so the to the field side, there's like I mentioned it looks like Gidry had a game plan for tight splits um, between one and number two, and what happens is they the free safety and the corner they ended up passing off the dagger route, but the problem was when they meshed, they were too far. Um, they were almost like too uh, like at different levels, and there wasn't a chance really for Cam um, uh, to recover, and so that's a decision they made. I think Gidry in the post game comments, he was kind of like, "Yeah, they got us. They showed something different." There's another way to play it. There's another way to play dagger. If you're not gonna play that game where you just like play it off each other, where so say if I were to draw it up and say this is number two, say it's number one, say this is your safety, this is your corner. You almost like make it where you see the tight splits, and this safety may come down, this corner may give some cushion, and they're at the same level. Like this corner and this safety end up becoming at the same level. They're maybe like at 6 or 7 yards deep, and then they just kind of like box them in, right? Where this guy goes like here and this guy goes like that, and they sort of box them in, and then play them off each other. I just that's one way to do it. Another way that you could do it is sort of like this is like one thing that I had the most trouble teaching high school kids, and some of it my trouble came from teaching the corners coach how to teach it, and then having enough time to sort of rep what we're doing. So like all right, so keeping in mind the basic concept of quarters coverage. Um, yeah, let me see if I can. I'm gonna stop right here. Okay, keeping in mind the basic concept of like quarters coverage, where the first job for the two corners and the two deep safeties are your deep quarter, right? Like again, you got to figure out how to like deal. Shit. Um, you got to feel or figure out how to deal with a vertical release. Okay, perfect. So, um, this is number two. This is number one. Corner corner should be playing like with like a 5 yard cushion. Free safety 10 to 12 yards. Okay, this corner is playing a shuffle technique. As soon as the ball snapped, he's shuffling, looking through number two. Okay, through number two to the quarterback. Okay, once number two, sorry, yeah, once number two gets past a certain yardage to the corner, he reads this as the vertical. All right, which means that number two is not a flat or a swing deep threat to the corner, meaning his eyes, his basically his eye progression goes from the snap to the quarterback to number two, while keeping number one in his peripherals, because he's shuffling. Okay, and once he gets that declared vertical, he knows essentially that he's in man coverage with number one. Okay, now what's the problem? What's the problem with that? Okay, this corner's shuffling, and once he gets his vertical, he's running with number one. Same thing with this, with this deep safety. The ball snap, he's taking his read steps, and he's playing a Robert technique on number two. Two's vertical means that he has to run with them. What's the problem with this? The problem is that the leverage that they started off the play with is great for run fits. It's great for making reads. It's great for all those things. It's bad for when the offense has the opportunity to run quarters beaters, right? So really all that has to happen to beat this coverage is you have to essentially clear out number two. Two has to clear out space in the middle of the field in one of two ways. One, he can run down the middle of the field and just clear out, okay? Two is he can come in here and then get to a vertical depth, which puts the corner or puts the deep safety like in a bind, where he gets vertical 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8 yards, and does a dig or does a deep post, okay? And then when you follow behind it is an in-breaking route from number one. So say you do double post, okay? What has this turned into? This coverage has turned into cover zero. There's no more help anywhere. So you have an outside leverage corner playing essentially cover zero on an in-breaking deep route. He has terrible leverage, right? He has to basically change his leverage mid-route and get under the route and use his body and the sideline as his only help. So that's kind of like a long-winded explanation to say that as soon as we get these two vertical releases, this corner has to basically sense it, change his leverage, okay, and be able to cut off the dig. Basically cut off the dig, so the safety can take this guy deep. It's really hard. I mean, it's you have to be able to, like, be able to process information super well, and then physically have the physical tools to be able to do it. Which, it was hard for me to teach high school kids this concept, and I had to fight with the corners coach to even listen to me. Whatever. I mean, thank God in high school we didn't have to face the best passing attacks. All right, so that's the first question I had. It's kind of like a long-winded answer. So yeah, I think if James was sitting on this curl, he would have been here. I just don't. I don't think really it was his job, and that, this play really is more a result of like bad pass rush, and then I guess maybe like a good play call, bad play call by us, but I wouldn't put it on James. The other question we got was West. This is from Count Dooku. West on the 56-yard touchdown pass to number 9. JW staring at an under route. Oh, wait. I think you guys are talking about the same play, right? Oh, no. Looking. All right, let's see. I think it was the same play. No. No, it's not. Let's go to. Chain 32. Okay. What do we got here? I remember this one. Okay. All right. So I've looked at this one a few times, and man, again, I'm kind of guessing what the assignments are. I can't say for sure, but if we are in fact playing quarters, it looks like we might be. It looks like we might be. Let's see. Okay, so we get this guy quarter turned. He's shuffling. This guy looks like he's shuffling too. Um, we got Cam and James sitting on the hash. You know, second and 9. Yeah, we're probably playing quarters. So then it just depends now what this guy's job is and what this guy's job is um may change depending on whether this guy's taking flats like right now. And I think what happens is number 2 and again 1 2 3 2 1. I think number 2 kind of does one of these, and then we get one of these. I just don't know. I don't know how far this guy goes vertical. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, look, doesn't matter because whatever it is, James is wrong. Okay? And he's wrong because he doesn't really do anything. He kind of like just gets stuck. He doesn't help on the deep out, and he doesn't help on the posts. So I don't know what his rules are, but looks like this guy kind of like he started here, does one of these. I don't think that's. I mean, it it could be argued that his rules would take him on the deep out because he went vertical. Um, I would suggest that as soon as he sees this guy's hips start to sink right around here, before he makes his out cut, James has time, right? He's a deep quarter, but don't forget that his deep quarter, um, when his deep quarter when he's not getting a vertical threat coming at him for number 2, his quarter is always late, right? So so again, talking about leverage, he's inside leverage of number 2, he's outside leverage. So this guy didn't run a post. 22 is in a bad position because his body is not between the ball and the receiver. And again, this turns into cover 0. He has no help until James comes late. James should be flat-footed here, sitting, waiting. Once he sees this number 2 receiver is not really doing anything, he has to basically flip his hips and just provide help late. And you get a lot of big plays on this. This is a coverage that you can get a lot of big plays in routes just like this because the quarterback doesn't really see you, right? So the quarterback sees, just like green grass, doesn't see, a safety backpedaling down the hash, and then throws it down the middle of the field, and then you get then you get James, should be helping there late. That's what I think. That's what I think happens. But again, I can't say for sure. So yeah. So 2 went out. James is kind of not doing anything, right? James. So the ball's in the air. James hasn't even just just turn around. Soon as that guy does that deep out, James has to turn around and just run backwards. Just run backwards and and play the guy's hands. Again, like I said in the podcast, Jaden Davis had a chance to make an extraordinary play. And you see it, right? So this is awesome technique. I mean, it's awesome technique, and it's also like bad technique at the same time. So this right here is awesome. Okay, James or sorry, Jaden Davis was say this is the receiver's route. He started trailing here. He understood he was out leveraged. He changed his leverage right in here, and all he had to do was keep running. Just run. Keep running. Keep your head down. Run through the ball. Make a play on the ball. When the guy shows his hands, and he sort of mistimes his attack. Ugh, man, brutal. Man, that could have been an amazing play, and it wasn't. And then this guy's all of a sudden like like an All American, and he's not that good. I think he just got lucky. Anyway, hey, I'm gonna check the chat. Let's see if I've got any more questions on the forum. Nothing. Let me see. Let me see. All right. All right. All right, guys. So I'm gonna probably cut it in a couple minutes. I'll hang out to see if there's any more photos or any more questions. If you have any questions, put them in the chat or put them on the forum. I'll be hanging out for a couple minutes. Oh man, look at the chat. I just saw it actually, but we got Mario, got Marcelo, got Raul. Thanks for stopping by, guys. I love it. Hey, listen, spread the word. I'm gonna be posting on the forum. Um, I want to do something like this post game where I'll be taking notes during the game. If you guys want to shoot me any questions, hey, third quarter, 2 minutes left. This thing happened. What do you think happened? And I'll be glad to take a look, and give my best guess as to what I think happened. So, thanks for stopping by.